Hello, once again, to the musings of a sanguine Christian woman. I am Adeoluwa, and in this episode, I am continuing in the series of Bahubali, the movies, part 1 and 2, the lessons there, the themes there, and in the previous episode it was Bahubali and his mother that I touched on. And so continuing on that thread, I want to pick out the theme of Bahubali and the women in his life. Although I'm not sure if that is what I want to touch on now, because I could do Bahubali, the women in his life. I could do the mother, his mother and his wife or something, but it means almost the same thing. So yeah, I would just talk, and then I would then probably draw the theme from what I have said. Now, there is something about a powerful man that also has a big heart, right? Usually the people they love become their weakness most of the time. Not because they want to, but because they don't know how to handle the complexities of what the man is about. And so usually they make it about themselves sometimes, without thinking about having a foresight of what their actions may or may not mean to the person they love. And so in Bahubali's case, in Bahu's case, he had a strong wife. He met a beautiful woman, and he fell in love with her at first sight. And she's strong physically, she's good at wielding weapons, and I can understand how that is even something to be attracted to, apart from the fact that she's beautiful. And she has authority, and she's down to earth, sort of. But she didn't fully understand her assignment as Bahu's wife or Bahu's partner. She didn't understand that there was more to being his wife than being his lover and the woman who loves him. She didn't understand that he was in danger of some sort because of who he is and what he represents for some people. Like, he holds a position that other people want, and they are looking for an opportunity, any opportunity, which they did not find. Interestingly, they didn't find such opportunity before Dave Sina came on board. But as soon as she came on board, she became unwittingly the reason for his downfall. And the reason why I said that was because, number one, I don't want to go into all the details to not spoil the story for you, but she had a temper. And the interesting thing is that she had that in common with her mother-in-law, who didn't accept her really, because I guess they were too much like each other when it comes to, they were fearless, both fearless. And so she did something that nobody, not even Bahu himself, had dared to do for many years. She confronted the Queen Mother, and she wasn't used to that. And the way she reacted, became a disaster. It became a disaster, and that was the opportunity that the enemies were waiting for. And both her and her mother-in-law just handed it to them on a platter of gold. Now, I understand why she responded the way she did. She was insulted, but I think that for somebody who has foresight, which she did not see that she could be used as a way to hit Bahu under the belt. She could have refused and decided that I would not be this man's weakness, but rather I will be his strength. And sometimes to be it's the strength of a strong man is to sometimes downplay your natural inclination to be confrontational. Yes, you are fearless, but you need not announce the fact. Especially when, sometimes I think it's just important that as a woman, if you want or you catch the attention or you find yourself in love with a strong man, a powerful man who is well loved, understand that a man that is loved like that, if a man like Bahu, maybe not exactly like him, because obviously men like him in real life are very rare. They are not very common. But assuming you find yourself with someone like that, who is loved, who just has a heart for the people, willing to serve, he uses his resources and everything he is to protect the people he loves. The question you should ask yourself is, so who is going to protect this man? Because he needs protection, and whoever he loves would be the reason for his downfall or his shield. And that was what happened really. Unfortunately, the people he loved and trusted were the people who were played to pull him down. It was like more or less like a Julius Caesar moment. You understand? They had to use Julius Caesar's weakness to bring him down. They had to use the people close to him to bring him down. So in the case of Bahu, his wife was too confrontational. She didn't know how to she didn't want to be insulted. And for all her talking, and it got to a point where her husband had to forfeit his right to defend her and to protect her. And I think that when it happened the first time, let's just assume that she had no idea of the political tension within Bahu's family, within her, in her in-laws' family. Let's just assume she did not know. When it happened the first time, she could have sat down and, begin to do some strategic thinking, like, look, this is not an open warfare with an open enemy that is unknown. This is a warfare, a strategic warfare with a long-term enemy that is bent on doing anything to get what they want, And as long as her husband was, available or around, they couldn't get it. So they have to wait for him to make a mistake, which he didn't often make. And as much as he didn't make a mistake of defending Defsina, indirectly she put him in that position. Now, the first time it happened, I get that and I understand that. But it's happening the second time was something else. She said something she shouldn't have said, in the bid to be honest about who she was. And you see, when you are trying to when lives depend on you, when you might not care about your life and what happens to you, but sometimes you have to care about the people that depend on you, or the people that might be affected. Should you be rash or irrational or provoked? There was a scene that happened that I just kept shaking my head like, why is she just making this blunder? I think that when he was made to forfeit the throne for, to defend her and protect her, that is too much of a price to give, in my opinion. Yes, I understand. I would be disappointed if Bahu had chosen the throne, but I would expect that she would just watch him and let him see what he's going to do. Then she would now step in with wisdom. It's knowing that this woman seems to be a bit, she's not used to someone challenging her authority, and a lot of things and a lot of people will be affected. She could have stepped in and said, you know what, since I'm the one being in contention here, can you please give me some time to think about this? And stoop to conquer. I think that's the word. Stoop to conquer. That is on Bahu's, on Devsina's side. That is on Bahu's wife's side. On his mother's side, she did not protect her son either. She did not protect her son's interest, and she did not understand her son well enough. Like I said in the episode of Bahu and his mom, I think Bahu chose her. She didn't really choose him. She was just, being her compassionate self, but he was more of a son to her than she was a mother to him. I'll say that again. Bahu was more of a son to her than she was a mother to him. And when things happened to provoke her, she used her authority to assert her place, in such a way that put Bahu and indeed the kingdom in jeopardy. And I think that is something that people in authority need to learn, that you don't just make decisions out in isolation. And she was too used to that. And I think that was probably the breath of fresh air that Devsina could have brought in a subtle way. She could have appealed to her that, oh, Rajmata, and she did. But then she blew her top again, in defense of her honor, not thinking about the costs. I mean, she didn't probably think that, the position of king will be stripped from her fiancé, who later became her husband, at the time because of her. And I think that's the issue. She underestimated, the situation, and overestimated her strength. She didn't study the situation well. She didn't stoop to conquer. In a situation where you are new to a place and you are facing, people who have political power more than you do, wisdom is profitable to direct, like the Bible says. Yes, it's not going to stop them from doing what they want to do, but you playing it down will buy you more time to come up with a strategy that would, topple evil and enthrone good, or at least save your life and that of your loved one. Unfortunately, they both reacted, both his mother and his wife. The way they reacted put him in danger, and he had to choose his wife, which I have no problem with, as he ought to. But the question is, who looked out for him? Who watched his back? Who had his back? Neither his mom had his back, neither his mom nor his wife had his back. And that brought him to his downfall. That was what, happened to him. His wife was not, shall we say, equipped to be queen. And because of that, Bahu was in a lot of trouble. He was able to live long enough to not get himself in trouble a lot of times, but then having to juggle being son and king plus husband was a lot, more than he could handle. And so he had to make a choice. One had to go for the other. And at that point, I expected the wife to put aside, like, this man has done so much for you. Do you understand? Like, put aside your pride. Oh, this is what I'm going through. How dare they do this to me? You understand? The truth must be said. You understand the situation, right? And make concessions where necessary to buy you more time so that the person you love could be protected. But I guess you didn't see far ahead in that direction, and she just let the man do most of the work. Yes, she stood by him, but as a wife, she didn't stand by him as his partner in every battle he fights, like help him strategically deal with the situation as somebody from the outside. And so it became it just spiraled out of control. And she suffered too because of that. And I just looked at what she went through, and I thought, was it worth being so open about how you feel? Was it worth it? It wasn't, because she got to a point where she had to be quiet and just bear it. And I thought, if only she had done this earlier. But she learned that lesson too late. The lesson of biding your time until the perfect opportunity, until you know that, yes, you are stooping to conquer. She had to go through that. She was forced to go through that process. Something she could have done, on her own. She could have done that on her own without having to be forced to do it. But she didn't. She showed her hand. She revealed her thoughts. She was being authentic. But that is not how a warrior behaves. When you're the spouse of a warrior, right? You think like you're going into battle. So you strategize. You don't show your weapons. You don't show your strategy. You don't show your mind. You let the enemy keep guessing. Like, what are they doing now? Let them have a false sense of security that, oh, you're not doing anything. Right? There was the time when, her husband was told to give up his office to someone that was just loyal to the king, so that she could enjoy the embrace of her husband. Now, obviously, that was a way of stripping him of everything. And yes, any woman would be angry, like, why are they doing this to my husband? But as a warrior, I expected that from previous experience, her talking did not yield the right, it yielded negative results, right? That hurt her husband because he lost a relationship with his mother because of that, right? And so knowing how hurt he is about the situation, but because he loves her and he had given his word to protect her, he just bore it. She herself could have just bore the situation and said, oh, thank you, Your Majesty, for this wonderful gift. I thank you for, and use innuendos like, I'm glad you're giving my husband to me alive and well, that is a very great gift indeed, and thank him, even if you know that there is nothing to thank him about, you understand, and just be demure about it, you understand, and maybe get up and hug your husband since he's giving you your husband's embrace. Please take advantages of it in his presence too, like, thank you so much, and then you whisper into your husband's ears like, I'm sorry baby, we'll get through this together. Do you understand? And then think, what do we do? Because when a righteous man is not in a position of authority, it becomes a danger to him and to everyone that resides in that jurisdiction. I thought that should be like the first thing she should do or say. There are some things that she should have done on her own and considered on her own, but she didn't. She just opened her mouth and said what she was thinking. Opposing authority openly is you giving the enemy opportunity to accuse you of treason. But if you are, very demure about it, they will try to provoke you because they want to get you to shoot yourself in the leg. And you'll be determined that I will not allow you use me to destroy me. And his mother also, she forgot what it was like being a woman. And she refused to understand her daughter-in-law for the sake of Bahu. She might not like her confrontation, but for the sake of Bahu, she could have, said, you know what, give me some time, I need to think about this. But she felt that being challenged, and she punished the wrong person for the quote and unquote insolence of another. And she paid a high price for it. By the time she realized the mistakes she had made, the damage had already been done. A lot has gone wrong because she let her emotions and the power that she had. She's been queen for so long. She had forgotten what to be a mother. Like, to be a mother, to be a woman. If it was a woman and it was a mother that was making those decisions, she would have made different decisions. But it was a queen mother that was talking. It was a queen mother that made all the decisions she made that put all of them in danger. She forgot that she was sitting on a throne and she was already a bigger person. She need not assert her authority. So what if this mouthy girl comes with her, in defense of her honor? Sit back, think about it and say, you know what? This girl is right. She might have gone about it another way, but she's correct. And, ask the courts what they think. And even the courts, when she made a decision based on preservation in her anger, even the courts were like, please, Queen Mother, rethink this. And she said, no, my word is law. My word is law, my word is law. And they used my word is law to get her to commit a sin against her son and against her kingdom. Her weaknesses became the weapon that was used. Her weakness was used as a weapon against other people, the people she loved, and against her indirectly. So the lesson I learned from that is that it's a beautiful thing to be married, to get the attention and the love of a man like Bahu. But it now falls on you to protect that union, to protect that man. Because your duties now is not just to love and be loved. Your duty is now to protect the man himself. Because of you, he would be vulnerable. So, understand the scenarios surrounding him and be more strategic in the way you handle and respond to situations. Respond with long-term goals in mind, not responding for the moment, which was something Devsina didn't learn early. She learned that lesson the hard way of just keeping quiet and bearing it because you have a plan, you have a strategy, you are waiting for a moment. She did not have that patience. She just feels that everything can be solved with speaking the truth and wielding a weapon. But there are, when you're dealing with clever people that will twist a situation to favor them, you also have to be unpredictable as much as possible. They will insult you, and that insult is meant to, is like is like attacking you frontally in a way that you can't dodge. Only if you fall on the floor to avoid it. But because you don't want to stoop, you get hit mortally. She learned that the hard way. The times that she used to suffer, she could have gone through that period, still had everything with her, not lose as much as she lost. She would have gone through that situation and not lose as much as she lost, and still come out the winner at the end. The vulture, they say, is a patient bird. But you see, when you know that the vulture is a patient bird and you're able to identify that the people you're dealing with are vultures, you yourself have to be patient. You must control your emotions and respond without blemish, but at the same time plan quietly on how to defend yourself without causing more harm. It's like using warfare in mental warfare, kind of. I don't know how to describe it as much. Like application of warfare, not with physical weapons, but with psychological precision. So you apply warfare with psychological precision. That's probably the only way you can deal with internal conflict when the enemy is within the family. When the enemy is so close to you, it's not somebody you can just, throw in jail. This is family. But you know that this person means to kill you, but you don't mean to kill them. So how do you protect yourself? You need to apply warfare skills psychologically. And it's going to take patience, it's going to take focus, it's going to take concentration, it's going to take stooping, which means your ability to handle humiliation with grace. She did not know how to handle humiliation with grace. She was, I am a princess. They can't treat me like this. They can't treat my husband like this. No, they can't, but they are. And they are not going to stop there. And the interesting thing is that her husband has been going through this for long, but he did not respond. And that was one of the reasons why he was still alive. If he had responded to every insult that his family members were putting him through, the unfairness that they were putting him through, the horrible things they say about him, he just ignored it. Not because it doesn't hurt him, but because, he just felt that he just counted his blessings. That at least he has a mother that loves him. He has the people that love him, and there is a country to serve. So instead of learning from my husband, like, look, this thing did not start with you. Don't let it be that you will be the one they will use to finish the issue quickly. She should have just learned from her husband. Her husband is always keeping quiet. Does not mean he was a fool. So why don't you keep quiet? But this time, plan strategically on how to keep your husband safe. I know it's a lot to ask from a woman, but depends on what you want, the result you want to get. Do you want to spend the rest of your life with this person? Do you want them to be happy? If you want them to be happy, you might have to endure some things for their sake. So, well, that's all I can say right now on the issue of Bahu and the women in his life. I'll be looking at another theme in another episode. They that know their God, remember, they shall be strong and they shall do exploits. Guard your hearts with all diligence, for out of it flows the issues of life. God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. Shalom.